Hello, I'm Simon Whistler. You're watching Today I Found Out, and in the video today, Sriracha sauce and the surprisingly heartwarming story behind it. And just before we get started, I do want to say that this video is brought to you by TunnelBear. TunnelBear helps people browse a more open internet privately and securely. Go to tunnelbear.com/brainfood to try TunnelBear for free. The genesis of Sriracha hot sauce becoming the condiment staple that it is today can be traced back to 1975 and an unassuming Vietnamese refugee called David Tran, the co-founder and current CEO of Fong Foods. Following the Vietnam War, Tran, who was a major in the South Vietnamese army and otherwise made his living making sauces, fled Vietnam with his family in December of 1978, along with 3,317 other refugees aboard a Taiwanese freighter called the Fong, meaning gathering prosperity. This is a name that he'd later anglicize and use as the name of his massive spicy empire. Like many successful businessmen, Tran made his fortune by noticing a consumer demand that was going unfulfilled and filling it. In this case, it all started with a demand for hot sauce among the many Southeast Asian immigrants in Los Angeles. More specifically, Tran got his start in the US by making a sauce he called pepper satay, a sauce he literally made in a bucket and bottled in recycled baby food jars, and he sold via bicycle and later out of a blue Chevy van. Tran noted, "I started the business with my eyes closed. There were no expectations at all. My American dream was never to become a billionaire. We started this business because we like fresh, spicy chili sauce." Having a modicum of success in the industry, he began experimenting with local ingredients, eventually creating a slight variation of a Thai recipe he liked that used, to quote, hybrid jalapeno peppers, vinegar, sugar, salt, and garlic. He named his version of this sauce Sriracha, after the coastal town Sriracha in Thailand, where the base recipe he tweaked originated. Recipe perfected, he began selling his Sriracha sauce alongside his pepper satay. To quite literally put his stamp on his sauces like he had done previously in Vietnam, Tran attached a label with a rooster on every bottle of sauce that he sold. The reason he chose a rooster as a symbol of his company is because the year he was born, 1945, was the year of the rooster, according to the Vietnamese zodiac. As for who designed the now famous logo, not even Tran knows, and he credits the original drawing, which he has long since lost, to an unnamed Vietnamese street artist he met in the 1970s. As Tran quipped, "I never thought I'd be successful, so I didn't keep any of my souvenirs." Speaking of branding and failing to plan for success, while the exact rooster logo cannot be copied by other companies legally, though many a company makes exceptionally similar bottles and logos for their Sriracha sauce to trick people into thinking it's Fong brand, Tran didn't bother trademarking the name Sriracha, so any company can call their product that without fear of being sued. Given how popular the sauce has become, such copying is now common practice. For instance, even the likes of Taco Bell has jumped on the Sriracha knockoff train. The noted fast food chain chose to come up with their own version of the sauce rather than just use the original Sriracha, despite in some of the ads showing the Fong Sriracha bottle design and referring to their Sriracha as the rooster sauce. In their case, their decision not to use Tran sauce is somewhat inexplicable, as Fong hasn't increased the wholesale price of Sriracha since Tran originally made it in the 1970s, meaning it's relatively cheap, and Tran states he doesn't charge royalties to use his sauce in this way. Because of this, many restaurant chains just go with the original rather than use the many knockoffs, or indeed make their own. Of the Taco Bell situation, Tran laments, "For us, it's a disappointment if people think it's our product." Nevertheless, he states he doesn't regret not trademarking the name, noting that it's basically free advertising when major companies like Taco Bell do this. Tran states, "We have lawyers come and say, 'I can represent you and sue,' and I say, 'No, let them do it.'" He also believes that his company still make the best Sriracha, for reasons we'll get to shortly, so customers will eventually buy his product in his opinion. Alright, so back to the hot sauce and the early 1980s. Tran was still selling his sauce from the back of the aforementioned van that he had personally hand-painted a large version of his rooster logo on. But by 1980, his budding sauce empire had grown to require a 5,000 square foot, that's about 460 square meter warehouse, which he rented in LA's Chinatown. At this point, he was making not just pepper satay and Sriracha, but also chili garlic, sambal badiak, and sambal olek. In the few decades since, the company has expanded to a sprawling facility in Irwindale comprising a massive 650,000 square foot, that's about 60,000 square meter building. The location of this facility is critical as, unlike pretty much every other major hot sauce maker on the planet, Tran has always insisted that his hot sauce be made using fresh rather than dried chilies. To this end, all the chilies used to create his Sriracha hot sauce are processed within a day of being picked. Because of this, they only make new vats of the sauce at certain times of year, and Tran must source his chilies from a local farm, in this case located just an hour away from his factory in Irwindale. Tran reports his choice of using local products, including buying the other ingredients like salt, sugar, and vinegar from US companies, is not because of the freshness only, but is also a way to pay back the United States for being the only country that would grant him asylum when he was fleeing Vietnam. As you might expect, being restricted to just one local supplier is a major problem for Fong, as they quite literally cannot keep up with the demand for their Sriracha. This is particularly notable because the company has never spent a single cent on advertising, nor, according to Tran, do they even have a sales department, having used the same 10 distributors for decades. As Tran himself so eloquently puts it, "I don't advertise because I can't advertise." That's not to say they only produce Sriracha in small quantities. With an initial contract of using 50 acres of the Underwood family farms to grow chili peppers, today that number has swelled to a whopping 1,700 acres, which is about 2.7 square miles or 7 square kilometers. This results in over 100 million pounds, about 45 million kilograms of chilies harvested over a 10-week period, in which they make their entire year's supply of Sriracha. The result of all this is an estimated $100 million per year in revenue for Fong Foods, a number that, according to Tran, has been growing by approximately 20% per year for many years now, as they manage to slowly increase production in an attempt to meet the demand for their sources. Despite not trademarking the name of his flagship product, never advertising, nor employing a sales department, and never once raising the wholesale price of Sriracha, Tran also bucks the normal trend in business when demand outstrips supply, as it has pretty much since the beginning of the company. Instead of raising prices, he insists his distributors never charge more than $7.99 for a bottle of his sauce, even in the largest sizes. This is to keep in line with the Fong Foods motto of "a rich man's sauce at the poor man's price." On top of this, Tran is famous for turning down very lucrative business deals in connection with his sauces, as well as several attempts by major food manufacturers to outright buy the company. When once asked why he was seemingly so against maximizing profits on his product, a frustrated Tran reiterated that his only goal is to sell hot sauce to those who want it, and that businesses that approach him are never interested in the product, only in the profits. Thus, given they don't really care about the product itself in his estimation, he has no interest in making business deals with them, regardless of how much money it might make him. Again, as he so poignantly noted, his simple dream was never to become a billionaire, but rather to make enough fresh chili sauce so that everyone who wants Fong can have it, nothing more. So I really hope you're enjoying this video so far, and just before we get into the bonus facts section, I do want to tell you a little bit about Tunnel Bear. So everyone, it's 2018, but there are no flying cars, we're not living underwater, and we certainly don't have any holodecks. But good news, privacy concerns are absolutely everywhere. Wait, that's not good news, but the good news is that there is Tunnel Bear out there to protect you. More companies than ever are collecting information about you on the internet, essentially spying on what you do online. Yay for the future. Tunnel Bear encrypts your traffic and routes it through the Tunnel Bear network so you can browse securely. And also, while we do not have transporter technology to take you to the browsing country of your choice physically, Tunnel Bear can make it look as if you're in another country. No, my tie's on the beach this afternoon, sadly, but at least you don't have to put up with geographical restrictions on the content you are browsing. You can get the good part of the future, or at least the best part we have, and try Tunnel Bear for free at tunnelbear.com/brainfood. Alright, now let's get into those bonus facts. Notoriously secretive, Tran seldom gives interviews and has long maintained, as previously mentioned, that his only goal is to sell his hot sauce to whoever wants it. A bottle of Sriracha in everyone's hands is my only goal. And now for another bonus fact. Partially as a result, directly after they moved the production of Sriracha to the aforementioned massive location in Irwindale in 2013, production of the sauce was halted by a lawsuit filed by the city, claiming the grinding of chilies released odors and eye-watering airborne irritants. The suit went on to claim that the factory was causing residents nearby to have nosebleeds, headaches, and a myriad of respiratory problems. This led Tran and executives at Fong Foods to decide to finally open their factory to the public. Lam noted, "We started the tours initially because we wished to have the visitors judge for themselves whether we were a public nuisance or not." Tran himself addressed the concerns of the public about the potential irritants that could be released by the Sriracha making process by buying a large banner to hang on the door to the factory that read, "No tear gas being made here." And now for another bonus fact. Thanks to opening up its doors to the general public and those involved in the lawsuit, and no doubt partially thanks to the fact that many other cities across the country publicly offered to take in the massive company, the lawsuit was finally dropped in May of 2014, allowing for production of Sriracha to resume. And now for another bonus fact. Despite Tran's evident reluctance to maximize the revenue potential of Sriracha and near total refusal to engage with the public unless it's absolutely necessary, he, rather adorably, reportedly sets aside time each day to read emails from fans of the brand and scan social media for mentions of his source. The 72-year-old Tran reportedly especially enjoys reading about unique ways customers are using his product. So I really hope you found that video interesting. If you did, please do hit that thumbs up button below and do not forget to subscribe. Also, don't forget to check out Tunnel Bear at tunnelbear.com/brainfood. Try it for free. And as always, thank you for watching.